My name is Ross, and this is my new channel, Watch Ross Cave. Here I'll be working on projects, and you'll get to see if I succeed or cave in the process. My background is by no means some tradesman that's been doing this for a long time. I just got bit by that maker bug and decided that I want to share my journey with everyone else. With that being said, I'm learning. I hope you'll learn with me. And if you have any insight or experience, please leave a comment. Just try to be nice. Thanks. In this video, I am working on a project for a client. They asked me to make 5 mugs at this time. Each one roughly takes me about 3 hours to engrave by hand. Thus, after like about 15 hours, I was pretty happy to be done. My hope is to simply show how easy it is to do this type of work with the glass engraving, and discuss the tools I use to make these. When it comes to glass, I personally prefer to work with thicker glass mugs, but you can get away with relatively thin material as well. How thin is too thin? You can engrave wine glasses without any issue for the most part. This whole thing surprisingly doesn't have to be a very expensive venture. I think as far as the glass goes, I spent about $10 for a pack of 8 glass mugs that you can see me engraving in this video. So material itself with glass isn't that much of a cost. The next thing you want to think about is the rotary tool itself. Most people would instinctively call it a Dremel, and it's not incorrect. Dremels are rotary tools for the most part, but you don't need to buy a Dremel to get this amount of detail that you can see me performing done. When it comes to features that rotary tools have, there's only 2 that I would say are mandatory for doing this type of work. The first being the ability to control the speed. Having a rotary tool that's either on or off isn't as useful as being able to manipulate the speed, which in turn, with diamond bits, will control how much material you remove at a given rate. That is very useful for precise control. And speaking of precise control, in the video you can see me using what I call a whip. That is just a cable that has an attachment to the rotary tool, which transfers the rotation to the bit at the end of the whip. It allows for more flexibility to get around corners. It's lighter, it's just more convenient to have. And along with that, if you have a whip, it's best to have, for me, to have the rotary tool elevated so that the whip isn't being caught on the surfaces around me. It's just at the right height to perform the work that I need to do. Bits. Okay, this is a very important point. Bits come in a variety of different styles. When it comes to engraving with glass, for me, I strictly stick with diamond bits. There's many bits that you can have for a rotary tool for different applications. For glass, stick with diamond bits, that's all you need. When it comes to the shape of the diamond bits, that changes considerably. There are points, which is more or less a cone. There is bolts, and then there are cylinders. And those are the 3 I normally work with. There are different shapes, but that's all you need for this application. When it comes to how you need to use the bits, the cutting action does not happen at the axis, at the very point of the bit. Some bits, like the point or cone, whatever you want to call it, does have a little bit of diamond dust at the point, so it will cut. But the majority of the cutting action should actually occur on the sides of the bits, so you want to approach it at an angle and not straight on. This is a lot more important when you're working with ball bits and cylinder bits. The point bits, like I mentioned before, does have some diamond dust at the very tip. Cone bits are best for doing the outlines. The ball bits are best for hung out material, and the cylinder bits, they're kind of in between, where they're good for hung out material, but due to the fact they have that 90-degree edge, it's really good for carving out like a V groove in the material when you're holding it just right. When it comes to safety, you're going to want to protect your eyes because the rotary tool is throwing glass particles all over the place. You're also going to want to clearly protect your respiratory system, so wear a mask. And when it comes to your hearing, the rotary tool is loud, so wear some sort of protection that way. I would not recommend wearing gloves because if ever rotary tool snags your glove, it's going to be a very unpleasant thing. So the following few things we're going to talk about are not mandatory. I've already covered everything you need at this point to perform glass engraving. These are optional things that will help the job go smoother. The markers are great for outlining what you need to engrave. I do this only when I'm doing one-off glasses for fun. When I'm trying to be professional, I tend to use vinyl wraps, and vinyl wraps are great for about 3 reasons. First off, it gives you an outline to follow. Secondly, it allows for repeatability when I'm doing multiple engraving. That makes it look more professional. The third thing is it acts as a protective layer if I slip. The diamond bits will cut through the vinyl in no time flat, but it does give me half a second if I slip to catch myself, where normally if the diamond bit just taps anywhere you don't want to, it will gouge the glass. That's why I like vinyl wraps. It gives me a little bit of extra time to do a clean job. Beyond that, if you're going to use vinyl, you're going to need X-Acto blades, the transfer tape, and on top of that, a roller to help apply said vinyl to the glass. The last thing that is useful is a mat or a stand or both. I tend to just go with a mat and use my hand to hold the glass. You can use a stand. I just find it gets in the way because you're always going to be moving the glass to get the right position, where a stand, you don't have a lot of flexibility, so it's almost better for me to avoid it altogether. Alright, at this point I think I've covered all the basics to get started with glass engraving. I hope this was helpful, and see you on the next video.